Hello, my name is Becky Cox. I am from Blue Hill, Nebraska, and I am a biology major. This is going to be my capstone for my Honors 400 project. So my original idea was kind of similar to what I'm doing now, but I wasn't able to do so due to the COVID-19 outbreak. So my original plan had been to create portraits of very important people in my life using bacteria. However, without being able to go into the lab, I had to kind of switch routes a little bit. I am instead creating portraits of important people in my life using seeds, and the seeds are specially chosen for each person. This video will kind of take you through the process that I've done, the reasons behind certain decisions, and will show some of the finished products. So to start, I kind of wanted to talk about what my original plan had been. So my original idea had been to create portraits of my loved ones using bacteria. Not a whole lot of people know about bacteria being used as an art medium, so I wanted to share with you two photographs and two examples that I really enjoyed. The second of which is actually the winner of the most recent contest that is held for the best bacterial art, and the first of which was actually chosen as the people's favorite. So to use bacteria as an art medium, the artist has to use very special bacteria if they want to get the right color, or they can use more common bacteria that have a pale yellow look to it almost. And as you can see in these two works of art, the artist used many different types of bacteria. Something that's really interesting about microbial or bacterial art is that these are actually living organisms that are growing in the pattern that they were placed onto the plate with. So it's not just using some stagnant material. These are actually living creatures, and if they are allowed to grow long enough, they will grow further than where they were placed and create a completely different, probably unintentional image. One of the first things that comes to mind when thinking of my dad is winter and Christmas. After the divorce, the one time I knew I would get to see my dad was over Christmas break. Clearly, the first plant that comes to mind is a good old-fashioned Christmas tree. I remember one year we actually went to some land that a family friend owned and cut our own tree. I remember being cold and miserable, but I really wish we would have done it once more as a family. My dad is also a pretty religious guy, so no matter what, we always went to the Christmas Eve service. The church we always went to was always covered in potted poinsettias. And I knew when I started seeing poinsettias for sale, I was one step closer to Christmas and seeing my dad. These plans ended up falling through once I started to actually shop for seeds from poinsettias and various coniferous trees. Not only are we out of season, but due to recent events, I wouldn't be able to get the seeds in time. So I decided to just go to the local nursery and look at their options. I ended up finding seeds that sparked memories I'd forgotten and that just reminded me of him. The first seeds I grabbed were pumpkin seeds. My dad's birthday is the day before Halloween, which I always thought was so cool. If you couldn't tell, Halloween is my favorite holiday. The second seed pack I chose was milkweed. Milkweed is one of the main food sources for monarch butterflies. One memory I had forgotten was when we visited the butterfly house on Mackinac Island. It was my sister and I's first time visiting our dad in Michigan. It was an incredible weekend with so many great memories. The next seed I chose was a pack of parsnip seeds. My dad gets really crazy in the kitchen. It seems that every time he tries a new recipe with parsnips, he gives me a call or a text to tell me about it. I don't know why. I don't even like parsnips. The final seed pack I chose more for me than for him. My dad is being incredibly generous and is helping pay for my schooling. Naturally, I picked a bag of Sugar Daddy snap peas because I found them hilariously fitting. So I started off with a picture of my dad that I really enjoyed. And then I used a photo editing system to create a monotone version of that image. And I simply resketched that image onto the canvas board that I had purchased. From the sketch I had done, I started laying down the seeds to create the portrait. In addition to laying down the seeds, I also had to paint over all of the guidelines that I had created in order to create the sketches. Once I was done painting over the lines, I honestly didn't like how it looked. I felt it looked sterile almost. So in order to combat that, I actually decided to add colored paint where the portrait would have been simply white. I decided to paint my father's portrait this really light green for two reasons. First of all, green is his favorite color, and secondly, I simply felt that the green would look really nice with the color of seeds that were used. The first flower that comes to mind when thinking of my sister is sunflowers. Not only does Mandy have a number of decorations in her home that are based around sunflowers, but she is also an extremely positive person. Her way of always looking on the bright side of things reminds me of how some domesticated species of sunflowers track the sun as it moves through the sky. One of my sister's most defining features is her hair. When left natural, it is just a sea of riotous kinks and waves. I knew I wanted to show this in my work in some way, but wasn't sure how. While shopping for other seeds, I stumbled upon the passion flower. The passion flower has thin, wavy petals that resemble strands of Mandy's hair. When I did some research into this flower, I learned that this is the same plant that produces passion fruit. In a way, Mandy and I discovered passion fruit together while in Australia. My favorite memory of us having passion fruit was when we almost missed our flight home. As soon as we boarded the plane, we were given drinks and passion fruit pieces. This had been very stressful, but is quite funny looking back at it. So for this portrait, I actually struggled quite a bit in determining what photo to use. I chose this picture for two reasons. The first being that this was actually taken in Australia, and the second one being that I just really enjoyed how happy and relaxed she looks in the picture. I used the exact same process as I did for the previous portrait to create this one. However, this one I actually sat down and completed all in one sitting. It was pretty intense, so much so that I actually forgot to take any pictures of the actual progress. This portrait involved the most manipulation of the seeds themselves. As we all know, sunflower seeds are pretty big, so for my sister's portrait, I actually cut them open and would try and slice them to better fit the area I was trying to fill in. I decided to paint this portrait this really pale yellow because it goes back to what I had written in my journal of just how positive my sister is, and I felt that this yellow would really symbolize that well. Here is a video of what the process actually looked like, and as you can probably tell, this video is actually sped up quite a bit. The process took a very long time. As you can see, the seeds are super tiny, so making any bit of progress, or at least progress that you can easily tell, took, in some cases, hours to make. This portrait actually isn't done at this time because it is so tedious with such small seeds. As you can see, I am using a hot glue gun to adhere the seeds to the board. This is a low temp hot glue gun. I chose to use this because I am honestly not quite sure what I will be doing with the portraits once I'm done. I have talked with my advisor about potentially planting the portraits to allow the project to come full circle. However, I'm not quite sure if I am emotionally ready to put such hard work literally in the dirt. The first plant that comes to my mind when thinking of my mom is actually tomatoes. Every year we plant a massive garden with most space being used for tomato plants. I think using only one type of seed for a portrait would look boring. So, I have decided to actually recreate our garden in her portrait. We tend to refer to our garden as a quote-unquote salsa garden. In addition to our tomato plants, we have a variety of peppers planted every year, often ranging from sweet bell peppers to habaneros. We have experimented with onions and cilantro in the past, but those are often hit or miss. In addition to our salsa makings, we also grow cucumbers and other squashes. Surrounding our garden is just a massive entanglement of morning glories. I have always loved going out in the morning and seeing all of the flowers in bloom. Ironically, after starting this project, using all of these seeds, I learned that my mom actually hates the morning glories. We still have them because she just can't seem to get rid of them. I honestly haven't been able to look at our garden the same way since. This is the photo I decided to use for my mom's portrait. This one's kind of fun because I was actually the person who took this photo. Just like each other piece, I used the same photo editing system and I sketched it out on the canvas and I started laying down seeds. This is the picture that I filmed myself doing to show what the process looked like, and as I said before, I am still not done with it. The seeds are so incredibly small, it is kind of miserable to work on, but you know, gotta get it done, so I've just been plugging along at it, and hopefully it'll be done soon. Once I am done with it, hers will hopefully be painted a really nice light baby blue. Here is a final comparison for everyone to see what my final project looks like when compared to the actual photo that I used to create it. So I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit about my project. It's been one heck of an experience to do, If you have any questions, please feel free to shoot me an email. I would really love to answer anything you're wondering about. Thank you for watching!